If you could just tell us, what are you going to be discussing here today?
I'm trying to give an answer to the G8's agenda, insofar as we're able in a small theatre. We want to have the alternatives canvassed. We believe that another world is possible, a better world is possible. We believe that the people gathering for the G8 are the cause of our problems rather than the solution to them. And the neoliberal economic model and the imperialist foreign policy model that they largely represent is the reason we're in the mess we're in. And somebody needs to say that in a way that can be understood by people when they see the meeting on YouTube and on the internet and so on. And also to have a Q&A session that will allow people to express their own perspectives. After all, we're not able to reach the participants. They've carefully staged the summit as far away from human population as it's possible to on the island, and the security is such that even I had to climb through Section 7 of the Terrorism Act to gain entry to what the last time I looked was still a part of the country of whose parliament I've been a member for 25 years. So it's not easy, and we don't pretend that the whole world is watching or listening, but more people are than the rulers would care to admit.
There's expected to be a lot of protesters here protesting G8. Why do you think it's important to protest the G8, and do you think there could be agent provocateurs possibly used here?
I myself will not be on the protest, and I'm not against the G8 meeting, and if they're going to meet, I'm glad they're meeting in Ireland, so it's not their presence that I'm opposed to. It's the agenda that they're following. They say that it's going to be about tax, trade and transparency, but to be lectured by these people on tax, trade and transparency is like being told to sit up straight by the hunchback of Notre Dame. They are the masters of tax avoidance and evasion. They are the masters of some of the most notorious tax havens and shelters in the world. Their idea of trade, which they call free trade, is counterposed, will be counterposed by me this evening, and is widely counterposed against fair trade, which is not the same thing as free trade. And transparency, well, we can't even see the summit, never mind be participants in it.
Exactly, and it's really interesting seeing the US and Canada arguing to have tax havens. I mean, there should be no reason to have them at all, but it's just telling, so telling of what's happening.
Yes, but actually, although they're honest at least, the British speak as always with a forked tongue. They claim they want to do something about tax havens whilst making sure that their own tax havens are the site of as much buried treasure as possible. No pirate in history has been as successful as the British Empire in squirreling away other people's wealth. But yeah, they're a motley crew. They're not all as bad as each other. Some are worse than others. But all of them are following an economic model, at least, which has beggared the world.
My last question is sort of unrelated a little bit, but a couple of days ago there was a meeting of the top industrialists from the private sector and public sector, the Bilderberg group in Watford. I was wondering, what is your opinion of this meeting that took place? I know Meacher's in Parliament right now questioning officials who went there. He's still not getting answers, but what is your personal take on the Bilderberg group?
Well, my first question was, what did the people of Watford do to deserve being visited by these ghouls? For that's what they are, most of them ghosts of Christmas past. I'm not, I must tell you, one of those who believes that the Bilderberg group rules the world, or the Queen of the Netherlands is somehow the head of a master conspiracy. I think it's a fairly risible gathering, which is less and less important. The ruling class doesn't need a conference to decide its priorities and which direction it should be facing in. It does that automatically, as the wild animal knows that it must attack and eat in order to live. So the ruling class knows what it must do to continue to rule. And they don't need to meet under the patronage of Her Majesty the Queen or the Queen of the Netherlands in order to do that. Having said that, Mr. Meacher is correct. If there was public money expended and if public servants participated, then in democracy we must know what was done.
Last few years I've written to George Osborne and Peter Mandelson and asked them if they attended, what did they talk about and who paid for it. And I'm an elected member of the European Parliament. They didn't even bother to reply to me.
These people only come not to have a cosy discussion because they have an agenda which they have got to fix with their peers in order to concert their plan.